call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation.
You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grid 6 feet like Kenny.
You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Reckless Ray Dinero, and we are back at it again for another episode of Oh geez, my desk is a mess. Y'all busted me. A little bit of a messy desk, and I didn't light my candle. I bought a new candle to back up the old candle because after these things get down to a certain level, we got to redo it, re-up, make sure we always got some peaceful smells good going in the room here when I'm recording. A little bit out of couth, but we're gonna have the conversation because we're gonna talk about financial doom and gloom and how Bitcoin is a scam. And you know, there's a lot of pushback, a lot of resistance, and obviously when you have transitions happening in this space, this is going to be a pretty straightforward episode. We're just going to talk, going to read off some facts. We're going to talk about a couple of things. So we got to talk financial doom and gloom because that's what the cycle's doing, and we're going to add some context to it because over here in the Wolf Pack, we are always looking for the opportunity, and the best opportunities come when there is chaos. But there also has to be some logic, and we have to look at some math. So, as with any transition, any type of transition, there's always friction. There's an old guard, there are the dinosaurs who aren't ready, and then there's the innovation, which is the comet that's coming to wipe them out. And I say that because a lot of these quote-unquote internet YouTube gurus, the Richard Fains of the world, have an opinion on how things should be done. And it's not necessarily a bad opinion. It's just dated. It's just what they did. They're beholden to the system that has been strangling both themselves until they got to the top of it, which I'm all for being at the top of a system. You don't want to be struggling talking about change because that just means you're coming at it from a point of, I suck at this game, I want to play a different game, and we don't want to do that. But you have to take it with a grain of salt when you see these old, archaic, borderline decrepit dinosaurs heralding a system that is dated and coming to an end, and ask whether or not they're leading you into a burning building. Now, I'm not going to be the type of person who says that you shouldn't buy stocks. I think that would be completely disingenuous, completely remiss, completely off-kiltered, and terrible financial advice. But I also think it's terrible financial advice. I believe it's completely disingenuous. I believe it is totally remiss to tell people from a standpoint of you're a guru and you know about money and you know finance and you're on the inside and you're giving everybody a look and you're the spook who sat by the door, to tell people that the best performing asset the last 15 years is something that they should not invest in. I just think that's insane. That's insane. Like, that mathematically just doesn't make sense. It's like, well, it's outperformed everything. Yeah, but you shouldn't invest in it. We're out here to get money. Are you, though? Are you? Because that advice in and of itself would say that you are not. And honestly, the reason being is because these gurus are also financial advisors. Now, fact about most financial advisors is their investment advice is garbage. They're putting you into garbage products that they get paid to put you into in most cases. Unless your financial advisor is paid on performance. And just a kicker, if you're negotiating that contract out, their performance needs to be, their pay is above, based on the points that they get above the S&P 500, because you don't need them to go buy Vanguard's VOO or ProShares S&P 500. You don't need them for that. You could just go buy that yourself. You could do that for free. They are not needed. At this point in the game, I would actually say that 95% of financial advisors are completely useless at this point in the game. Being that their investment advice is trash, they put you in products that aren't beating the S&P 500, which you could do for free, which also means you're likely not beating inflation. You're not even protecting your wealth. You're paying them to slowly lose your money. You would actually be better off just putting money in a savings account at that point, which is also financially ignorant at this juncture because of the inflation that we're seeing. But they'll tell you that Bitcoin's terrible because if you just bought Bitcoin, you wouldn't need them. And I would say that most financial advisors at this point aren't needed beyond special tax situations and estate planning. Outside of those things, because those are complicated things that are in their field, their financial advice is trash mathematically. When do they win? Are you winning? Or are the numbers just going up and you're not paying attention to how much they're going up? You're not paying it. They're not helping you with strategy on that. They're just going, yeah, just dump it into this product and you're going to be good. And since you see numbers increasing, you think they're doing their job because you like them because they're personable. That's a real expensive friend. But if you're into buying friends, go ahead, buy your financial advisor. That's cool. But we want to talk about the financial doom and gloom, because I was looking and, everybody is very pessimistic, and I could say rightfully so. When you see the wealth, your future wealth being used to sustain a mess that you didn't create by people looking to preserve self over the greater good. So we're not ripping the Band-Aid off. We're now in a situation where the can can't really be kicked any further down the road. Like, there's going to have to be some belt tightening. And we're over here at Future Financial Strategies. We are working on utilizing all the tools available to make sure that even during these times that we are still equipped and capable of moving forward in the system, in the circumstance that we find ourselves in. But there's a lot of doom and gloom out there. Like, what do we have we're going to start off with housing. Now, according to the National Association of Realtors, the median U.S. existing home price is expected to increase another 1.4% in 2024 to the average of $395,100, followed by a 2.6% increase to $405,200 in 2025. There's a lot of different varying predictions on this, and I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it as a homeowner. I am seeing it. Like, I'm loving, and like the first thing that I'll tell you is for me, housing is very strategic. I believe I'm an avid house hacker. I know Richard Fain says that that's a mark of failure, not having your largest expense covered, but having roommates as you get up there in age. And I understand that, but I mean, at this point, everyone's going to be broke anyways, and y'all going to be broke renting with roommates. So somebody should own a house. Somebody should be setting it up. And the reason I say that is because then you're varying the amount of control you have increases owning a home. And I understand maintenance. I'm an advocate of home warranty. That handles most of your large expenses. It's just that people don't really plan ahead, and they don't like paying for stuff that they don't necessarily use every day. But we pay for car insurance. Home warranty is basically an additional kicker for home insurance to make sure that your larger expenses are not coming directly out of your pocket. I also believe in I utilize my home as part of my my opportunity fund. So like I'm constantly building up that $10,000 cash holding to deploy onto something. And, you know, the way that we have it set up, we should be hitting that opportunity fund about, I'd say, hold on, let me get a calculator out. I like to have the maths on this. Oh, I don't need that. I need my calculator. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Oh, oops, that's too many zeros. 400. Hold on. Good God, I'm bad at this math. Hold on. So that'd be looking at. Hold on. Divided by, let's 100. So basically, every year I should be having a amount ready to deploy every single year. And it's normally a year and a half. But the way that I do my investments, obviously, we do part of that in Bitcoin. We do part of it in the market. We don't just save it in cash in the bank. I don't believe in that, especially over that long period of time, because you're just missing out on growth. So I would rather put that in the S&P 500. I would rather park it in QQQ. I'd rather have some of it parked in Bitcoin than to just have cash sitting around waiting for it to hit 10,000, because you hit the 10,000 faster. So at minimum, if nothing goes up and everything just holds value, every 12 and a half months, I have a deployment of money. Now, the way that I do it, it's faster than that, because we're using the future financial strategies that we advocate for over here. So we're taking the cash advances to get the money into the market faster. Off of our credit cards, we're hacking the credit card system. We're also hacking the 6% loans over on CashApps to get additional cash into the system. We're doing that. We also have the in-home banking cash pool that we can tap into. We're doing that. Now, with that said, home upgrades in my case, considering that I do home house hacking, is also increasing the pool of my house. But let me break down how I look at that, though. I look at the real estate, especially on the property that you live in. So this house that I have right now, I consider that dead money, because if something were to happen and I were to lose my job, I could not tap into the equity in this house. I would have to sell it. I would sell it, and I would sell it at a substantial profit, but I got to walk away from the house to get a hold of that money, any of it. So while I'm in it, the one that I'm physically living in is not necessarily the tool that most people make it out to be, unless you are willing to HELOC it out. And at these interest rates, I'm not at present. But as we were talking about, when we're looking at the real estate market, it's getting rough out here, like certain areas. And I always say that it's down to the math. And the reason I'm an advocate, me specifically, from a strategic standpoint, am an advocate for home ownership, is because it controls your largest expense, which is your mortgage and or rent payment. It allows you to have that into a point to where the only thing that's varying are your taxes. And generally, unless you live in one of these sanctuary cities where they're levying the taxes onto the citizens to give illegal immigrants free money, outside of that, you shouldn't be having major swings that are gonna cause what we saw over the pandemic, which is people having to move 2 and 3 times because their building got bought out. And when your building gets bought out, your contract immediately goes over to a new person that can re-up that contract for hundreds of more dollars. Or at the end of the year, having a landlord who is, whatever situation they're in. I can't speak to those situations. I haven't been jacking up the rent. But having a landlord who decides that he's going to raise your rent hundreds of dollars because he feels that, because the market dictates that he can, because everyone else is raising rent, because these institutions are coming in and they're buying up homes and raising rent. And then people are like, well, I want that money. I'm greedy. And having to deal with an element that affects people on such a high level being out of their control. I personally do not like that. Also, most people are not just hopping and moving and bouncing around every year. You're in a place for 5 years. I've been in this place for 5 years. I've accrued a good amount of equity over the time that I've been here. So even if I move now, I can still keep this place, rent it out, and then move on to the next place. I'm looking for another place here in town now because some stuff's going on, that I want to capitalize on, that I think the prices are going to go up. And I would like to have a second place. Strategically, I'm for home ownership. Is it the best investment vehicle? Now, once you get into the income, if you're renting it or you're doing Airbnb, short-term rental type stuff, VRBO, that becomes a different conversation. But specifically the way that we are taught to look at homes, outside of securing your rent, your largest expense, which is your housing expense, the other thing that you get out of that is an overall lowering of expenses when you wrap in insurance. We all have to have car insurance. That goes substantially down when it's tied in with your house. Those two things aside, I don't advocate for buying more home than what you need. Like, I bought exactly what I needed. My next home purchase will be exactly what I'm needing. Like, I'm going to get exactly what I want to have to be able to do the things that I need to do. And I'm not going balls to the wall, balling out, trying to impress people that don't care about me when it comes to home ownership. But it is getting harder. The prices are going up, and they're going up at a rapid clip. I always find myself wondering how the Dave Ramsey, the Richard Fain people who don't use debt at all. I mean, you could lump Anton Daniels into that as well. Like, no debt, just buy your house. Where is all this cash coming from? Because like the way that the housing market where I live, and I live in a good market, you can still, like, when I look at the national average, this is including the most expensive houses coupled in with the least expensive houses. But I'm like, you can get houses where I live for well under $395,000, good ones in good areas that you'd want to live in, and you can get them for under $395,000. But I'm seeing it change. I'm seeing it tick up. I'm seeing those prices increase. And then you have the Fed on top of that going, we're keeping interest rates higher for longer. The market reeled in response to that. Across the board, everything pulled back because obviously now that Bitcoin's tied in, people are reallocating, making strategic adjustments. But it's also one of those things where it's like, that's also going to drive prices up. Situations like mine, like I personally am an advocate for not letting go of property. So I don't buy properties in places that when I move from them, I can't rent them. Granted, I've only got one, but my first purchase, that was a big key thing for me. I was like, I want to be in a part of town that I want to live in. And I want to make sure that like, if I move, I can get this rented out. Now, with that said, the prices, like, for the area that I moved into, I'm like, man, like this would have been hard had I not moved when I moved into it. Now would have been a different conversation. Like, we would have had to save up more money. We would have been having to do a bunch of other things, like the way that I'm getting my stuff set up to save up for this next property. Like, fortunately, we have Bitcoin. Because if I was doing this with cash, like this would be a much slower process, even with the money that I have in the market, because, you know, I believe in hitting multiple different asset pools. We use all the tools, but even doing it just in the market would have been arduous, in the sense that like the market hasn't performed as well as Bitcoin. Now, and part of the reason we're doing this is to show how somebody during a short window of time, specifically during the Bitcoin halving bull run, could use Bitcoin as a hyper accelerated savings. Now, I believe that you can do this during the bear market, depending on when you start, but like you have to be educated on what the cycle is, because you definitely wouldn't want to start a hyper accelerated savings buying at the peak, going into whatever the dip is, which could be anywhere from 20 to 70%. And then having to start from that era and then working your way as it stair steps its way back up. Like, you have to be aware, you have to understand how these things work. Now, do I keep stuff in Bitcoin long term? Absolutely. Because over the long term, you're increasing your wealth based on the 15 years of data that we have on how Bitcoin has performed. It's done exceedingly well. So long term, absolutely. But like for a savings, I would only do that at so like the next one that we would do is I would stop using it. Like I'm going to stop using Bitcoin for saving specifically, not for a long-term holding, after we get into the run of the bull run. Like we're continuing to do it now because there's a window, because I'm not going to need this until July, June, something like that, well post halving, and we'll be on the run up, the post halving run up. And I want to capture that. So investing now, putting it in there, I'm going to see a benefit. And honestly, now that we've got this dip, we're shifting back over to where we're going to have to take a little bit. We're going to continue our dollar cost average, but I'm going to go ahead and just put all that money back into Bitcoin. Like there's just no reason not to. The performance on it has been too good, and I know what the cycle's going to do, and I'm willing to wager that I can wait to catch the post halving run up also. So we're gonna do what we're gonna do, but like we started in August of last year was the first purchase that we put in there into the Bitcoin pool at and it was like $20, which people need to understand that it's not like you're buying whole Bitcoin. You buy fractions of Bitcoin. It's okay. It's okay, because the numbers still go up. Gains are gains. And that portion of the savings pool has completely obliterated both the amount that we keep in cash. We keep 1,000 of it in cash on hand. We keep all the rest of it locked up in QQQ. And then the other portion of it's in Bitcoin. And that was supposed to be the smaller portion. And it's just exploded. Neither of the other avenues have done anything remotely close to what the portion of it that's in Bitcoin has done. And so we're going to keep riding that train. Like there's no reason not to. There's no reason not to. Like we're going to have, especially considering the energy value of Bitcoin is $81,000. So like on all funds, we're trying to stick it out. I will be going in on those positions until we hit the market value. Now, I will not be buying Bitcoin through the bull run like I did previously, but even saying that, like I probably will be just holding a Bitcoin position in reserves so that once we flip over to altcoin season, I can start deploying into altcoins, because most of the stuff that we're buying right now outside of the accelerated savings is going directly into the altcoin space, which we were going to continue doing until altcoin season starts. And for me, that is looking at Bitcoin dominance dropping down to 40% or below. If we get down to 40%, for me, that's all systems go. And then we're going to be, once Bitcoin dominance drops down to 40%, we're going to be cutting off our inflows. Actually, we'll probably cut off our inflows at, I'd say, gosh, like I'm almost wanting to say like 40, 44%. Like if Bitcoin dominance drops 6%, I'm going to stop putting money into crypto and I will just work on my brokerage account exclusively because we are hedging out during the bull runs. That's what we're doing moving forward. We're going to be all in during the bear markets for crypto, but like I want to be where people aren't. So during the bear market, when nobody's in crypto, that's when we're going all in on crypto. During the bull run, when nobody's in the traditional finance market and everybody's going to be making fun of those guys, that's when we're going in on traditional finance. And we're going to be building out portfolios because that's where the deals are going to be, because the money's going to be flowing out of that market into Bitcoin, and obviously vice versa. During the bear market for Bitcoin, there will be funds flowing out of Bitcoin back into the traditional finance market. And I don't want to be with the crowd. If you're running with the crowd, you're getting yourself set up for failure, in my opinion, from what I've seen since I've been investing, period. Now, Bitcoin is a scam. See, this is so I find this interesting, this part of the conversation really interesting, because we're looking at Bitcoin and, you know, the gurus will say, oh, Bitcoin went down. Look at it. It went down to the price that it was a few weeks ago. Like, and by a few weeks ago, I mean less than a month. And they're like, it's over. It's a scam. See, the price went down, as though things just go up in straight lines forever. That is a talking point. That's what they say to substantiate the, oh, you need me. I've got the secret sauce. I've got the, let's see here. It's a secret sauce. I got the, I don't know. I don't even know what else to say. But you know what? I do have a screen that I want to share. So like while it's down, and I can acknowledge that. Yes, the price is down. There are retracements. Let's keep it a bean. But while it's down, where are we at with the home savings? Where are we at? Where are we at though? Bring this up big for you. We're still up. This is the pullback to 2 weeks ago. We're still up 64%. What's still up 64% right now during the pullback? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. It's still outperforming every other asset right now. Still, with the pullback. It's just stuff doesn't go up in a straight line. That's not how this works. And we weren't supposed. And the thing is, we are not at the halving yet. Everything that's happened, the hitting the new all-time high, those were things that didn't happen until post the halving, like a month after the halving. You're talking about stuff that happens in like May or June. Most likely May, like May-ish, late May, early June. So when we're looking at that, and it's already happened, and we haven't gotten to the halving yet. So the halving scarcity effect hasn't even hit this yet. This is just the ETFs buying up all the Bitcoin on the market at a very high clip. And people are saying that it's over already, and we haven't even gotten to the halving yet. Like it is absolutely insane. Like I think there's a couple of different ways to utilize Bitcoin, and obviously, for me, it's store of value, wealth creation via appreciation, and a hedge against inflation, which it has been a great hedge against inflation. We are destroying inflation. We're up 64% since August, beating inflation. So we're good there. Generating wealth, good there. The other thing that I could totally see it being used for is an accelerated savings over the bull run. 100%. Yes. So we're jumping up. We're going up at a fast clip during this window of time. So during this window of time, absolutely best savings vehicle possible. Now, long-term, also best savings vehicle possible as of what we have available to us right now as far as tools go. Does that mean that that's the only thing that I'm doing? Like, no, obviously for me, it's Bitcoin, getting that dividend portfolio set up that's going to cover my monthly expenses, the core ones, and being able to, because like once the core expenses are covered, technically you can retire, you can not take jobs, you don't have to go to work if you don't want to. There's a lot of options in there. You can work on things that actually matter because you can afford to get paid less to be a part of things that maybe you see some more long-term upside in, or that you actually care about, because your core bills are covered. You will have a house over your head. You will have a set of wheels that you can drive. All of those things will be covered. You'll keep your phone on. You'll have internet. I mean, you could, technically speaking, if I needed to cut to the quick, I could play video games at home. Got the internet on. Like, we're good. I'll play free games. Get on Steam. Do MMOs, something. Like, there's stuff that you could do to keep yourself entertained at home. Food's covered to a certain extent, right? Those are the things that we are working on over here at Future Financial Strategy. It's not getting to a point to where you don't have to do anything. It's getting to a point to where you have the ability to go build things that matter to you, or work on things that matter to you. Those of you who want to sit at home and I don't want a boss, like, you always have a boss. If you're in business, the bosses get worse the higher up you go. Because then eventually it's just the public, because you sell things and people just complain. Like, that's what they do. Nothing's ever going to be right. What we're focused on over here is what I believe to be something that works, because I don't know any wealthy people that don't do anything. So I'm assuming that if that's your goal, you will not be successful, because you're just not going to be willing to work, because you're trying to stop working. And in order to do that, you got to work really hard. Like, that, it just doesn't work that way. And, you know, like, even the people who do the content online, they're selling you a dream. But think about it. If you're talking about the FIRE movement and how I don't work and you're just going to be free and let me tell you about my life, like, you still got to work to edit those videos. You got to go do the work to upload those videos. You got to be in the comments to respond to those videos. You have to continually upload those videos to keep the people who are absorbing your content coming back to your page. This is work. It's a lot. Like, I mean, honestly, this is a lot more tedious than my job, to be honest. And I don't get paid to do this. We're just documenting the journey over here, showing people a way out while we're getting out ourselves. But this too is work. So somebody's feeding you a dream that you can just sit on a beach, but they have to go record themselves sitting on a beach and then edit the video to upload it, which is in fact work, so that they can get paid from their YouTube site page, because these pages have hundreds of thousands of views. These videos have hundreds of thousands of views. So they're making income still from YouTube to upload this content that they're choosing to upload. Now, I'll tell you this, me personally, not being a millionaire yet, not there yet, obviously, but I don't know a lot of millionaires that don't live in YouTube. And by live in YouTube, I mean their profession, a good part of it is, I'm a content creator. And they love to flex about how much they making money as a content creator, right? I don't know anyone else who's on here that's just on here that's actually a multimillionaire that's on here. That, like, the content creation part of it is a job. That's the reason they upload the content, is because they're making money off of it. That's the reason they give you generalized poor advice, because you got to market to the lowest common denominator when it's hundreds of thousands of people watching your stuff. Most of them are going to be dum-dums. And over here on the Wolfpack, we're not there yet. So I get to tell the truth, because I'm making videos for about, I'd say 10, maybe 12 people at this point. If I'm lucky, 14, you know what I'm saying? But hit the like, hit the share, subscribe to the channel if you like the content. But I'm not sitting out here making content and that's a good chunk of my income. It's not any chunk of my income. Like, I mean, this channel, like, I'd say at best, my best month was when I first got on Rumble, because I got a really big super chat over there. And I'd say that month I made, I think, maybe $250. But I'm not a content creator. Like, I'm just kind of doing this. I enjoy being in the space. I enjoy the things that I'm learning here. This helps me become a better orator at my job. I get a lot of benefits. I get a lot of networking. But like, this channel it's not something where you live here. Like, I have my 2 video uploads that I do. I'm doing 3 videos a week and a live stream, which is either guns and butter, or me simulcasting another channel that I've been asked to be on. I've decided that I'll even switch those out with that on Thursdays if I'm invited to be on something where I think the conversation is going to be important and fruitful, because Guns and Butter is just fun for me. Low key, it's just fun. Like, I enjoy talking to those people. I enjoy my crowd. I think I have one of the best chats on the planet because it's a small group of us and they're very active. Like, it's great. It's just conversations, talking to my internet friends. But with that said, I'm not going, oh, I want to be a content creator so I can sit at home and do content creation all day. Like, I wouldn't want to do that. Now once I get my next camera iteration for my camera setup, I will probably be doing some stuff where I'll be able to record some things from work and some more workout stuff. So there'll be content from that, but that's just because I'll be able to take that camera with me places and set it up and continue navigating like I do. Cause like, I don't want to not have music to record. Like, it's not that important to me. If I don't have music or I can't listen to my book, I don't want to do it. But like, if I got a little bitty tripod and I got the new camera and I can set that up while I'm working to like show some fabrication stuff, like, I'm going to have some stuff that I'm going to use for other avenues that'll be promo materials for that. And then we'll be able to do some stuff with that, and it's going to be cool. I'll be able to add some of my fitness stuff, so that way y'all can see some of the crazy little workouts that I do when I go to the gym, like whatever, do some little quick hits, some sped videos of my workouts. That'd be cool. That has value. But like, do I want to live here? Not necessarily. Like, there's a bunch of other stuff that I would prefer to do aside from this, because like, this seems like work and I don't want to do work sitting down. Everybody that I know that's good that lives here, bro, that sits down all the time, they're dysgenic, like they kind of fat, except for Richard. Like, Richard's just old though, because like when you old, you don't get fat no more. Like you on the way out. So it's different. But like everybody else, they're all out of shape because they sit around all day and then they don't actually go work out because they wasn't about that life to begin with. Then they got to go hire a personal trainer to get in shape, because now you got to get in a shape instead of just being the way that you are, because that's your lifestyle. You end up not having healthy lifestyles because they divert for the money. So we're trying to move over here. The strategy that we're doing and the strategy that I'm implementing with my family within my household is we are a market first family. We are market first people, which means that as soon as possible, we want to be getting all of our money out of the market. We want to be having a strong dividend portfolio that's producing income so that we can just continue to invest. And then as we're working, the scale at which we can come out of the workforce, and that's not necessarily to manage the money fully, but to be able to move into a situation where we work on things that we believe matter, be able to contribute to society and actually do stuff that matters, that maybe doesn't pay well. Like, we obviously need social workers. I don't think that all social workers should be broke, because then you have a different conversation with the people that you're bringing into a system where you're poor and downtrodden. They're already actually poor and downtrodden. You're poor by decisions because you chose to get that degree that doesn't pay back. And now you got opinions on everything because you're a walking liability and nobody wants to marry you because nobody wants to pay your bills. They don't want to pay your college off. I would prefer that people be in a space to where they can choose and elect to do those jobs, but like, they still have the income to where they don't have to do those jobs, because those people are treated like dirt. They're not appreciated the way that they should be, but they're also poor, and that makes it worse. It actually makes it worse. So we don't want to exist in that capacity. My goal for everybody in the wolf pack is to get you to a point to where you can do what you want to do. Now, if you want to go sit on a beach, that's fine, but like, this isn't an overnight success thing. So we'll see how many people actually attain the sit on the beach and how long they actually want to do that. Because I'll tell you what, just being honest, once I get to the point to where things are hitting the way that they're supposed to, I will probably take a month off and I will probably do some videos from the beach and I will sit down. I will rest. But during that month, I will probably also be scheduling like some deep stretch, massage, vitamin regimen, IV drip, rebuild my body, get like a good reset along with that. So that way, and like I'll be doing some soul searching and doing some thinking and figuring out what it is that I actually want to do, like how I'm navigating moving forward. But I could only see doing that for 4 weeks. And I think in 4 weeks, I would have all that stuff sorted out because my brain works a million miles a minute. And after I fix myself, I think I'm going to be ready to go. But up until that point, like we're just grinding and we're converting everything over. And like that's the reality of what I'm doing is I'm trying to make shifts and doing it in chunks. That's the reason we have all the other strategies to build out that asset base. So that way I can go, okay, so we were here. Now the portfolio's kicking out this. Now we're doing this. Now we're making this move and keep it moving forward. And we're about to start touching on some of that because instead of just buying the toys, we're going, okay, well, we deploy the in-home banking capital to get a large purchase, then we take a breather, pay some stuff down. Then when we redeploy the next deployment, we go, okay, we're deploying and going into this now. And whatever this could be. So like the next one, I think we're going to be doing a little stimulation of our brokerage account. Like we're going to continue building that out because I do want that. Like we're going to take a chunk of that money. It's going into crypto though. Like we are going to be taking a chunk of it, but we're probably going to do another swing for the fences, probably tapping into the CashApp, get some of that out, and then couple that up with the in-home banking pool. And, you know, because we're not necessarily at the point I thought we were going to be able to go ahead and kill that Discover card debt, but we're not there yet because with the crypto dip, we're now back under $10,000. So like now we got to get it back up. So like we might actually do that. Like that might be what that chunk is to get that up to the $10,000 mark. And then we'll be sitting and riding with that. But the crux of the situation is the goal over here is to get people transition into a point to where we are capable of living off of assets versus having to live off of income. Because the way that this is set up, and I finally understand the wage slave ideology, and I'm going to break that down here for the last thing on this video because we're rounding out almost to 45 minutes, and I think this will get us at 45, maybe a little bit longer. But if you are in a system where you as the person, us as the people, have to go to work to get money to exist, we got to pay for housing, we got to pay taxes, we got to pay for cars, we got to pay for food, and we do all that with money. And then you have somebody in that system that also uses money, but they can just make more money at their behest. Like they don't have to go to work. They don't have to earn it. They don't have to figure out, they don't have to do what we do to move up in the system. Then as long as you are reliant on your work income, you are actually in a state of slavery because there's somebody who works outside of the system that can manipulate that system, and that manipulation affects you. When the government prints money, it puts us in a worse position because now our money's worth less. That doesn't affect the person who said add more zeros so that I can have some. They didn't have to go to work to earn it. They just made it. But we have to go to work to earn it. So the only way that we can remove ourselves from that state of slavery, wage slavery, I'm not saying going to work is bad. What I'm saying is the system that we live in, going to work is a complete sham for the person going to work. It's also a complete sham for the business owner, to be honest. Everyone but the person who gets to add more zeros and press enter to make money so they can do what they want to do. Everyone else down the line is in some form of slavery in that system because there's only a handful or one person who gets to make more zeros. And this isn't then we can't be on some eat the rich because Elon Musk doesn't get to go add more zeros. He too, from the business perspective, is under, now he's closer to the person who adds more zeros, so he gets more benefits from it than the guy who goes to work at the Tesla plant. But he too is at the behest of that guy. He doesn't control the computer that adds more zeros. He doesn't get to specifically add more zeros for himself. He's just affected less. And in some cases gets to benefit more as a business owner, because when they add more zeros, the price of everything goes up, which is a boon for the people who own businesses, which is why I'm an advocate for owning things. We own assets. It's also a reason that I say I'm not an advocate for selling. Because if you're in a debt-based system and you don't use debt, you are literally doing that system on nightmare mode. That's just the facts. Because every time they add those zeros, that's debt. They're playing a debt game. You want to pay for everything in cash and have zero debt. Like, that's fine. I don't necessarily think that it's smart to be up to your eyeballs in debt, but strategically using debt to acquire assets, absolutely, because everybody else does who's winning at this system. So in order for us to move out of that, you have to have income coming in that you do not have to go produce physical labor for. Now, you could do that via business ownership. That's another avenue because you get a dividend off that. But I'm an advocate for setting up an income portfolio that generates income enough to cover all of your core expenses. Then you don't have to worry about asking for UBI. We can create our own universal basic income. We are capable of doing that. The issue is when we're asking people outside of our situation to fix our situation, there's no incentive to do that. And even if there was an incentive, there's going to be a catch. Nothing is free. So over here, our focus is using every tool available to get ourselves out of wage slavery at the fastest clip possible. Because now that we know what the game is, I finally figured out, it takes a little while. But like once you figure out what the game is, you act and respond accordingly. Are there improvements to be had in the system? Absolutely. But we're not going to talk about that from a situation where we're just downtrodden, getting beat up by the system and having no control over our situation because we made some different decisions and didn't want to sacrifice early, and now we're paying for it later. We're going to close it out on that. It's your boy Reckless Ray Dinero. Until next week, peace.